Welcome to FusionPit Presents. I'm Alec, and this week I am talking about the latest release from Chico-based hardcore punk band Criminal Wave, Rural Savages. Rural Savages came out March 11th and has quite a few interesting things going on with it, with some of these vibes feeling completely polar opposite of each other. Some songs feel much more upbeat and energetic, like with the opening track, title track, Rural Savages, that features this keyboard-led melody that feels very epic, very grandiose, and that leads into this killer bass solo that kind of sets the mood for this track that explodes into these very energetic, impassioned instrumentals with a shouted vocal delivery. Although I wouldn't really call this song aggressive, just feels more mosh pit friendly. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, we get very dark songs in tone with songs like 122 Hours of Fear, which is another song that features a keyboard-led melody at the beginning, but it's much darker and much more eerie, much more sinister. And as it leads into the instrumentations, this dark, eerie vibe kind of translates to the guitars with them playing this very chilling chord progression behind the very aggressive drums and shouted vocals. Some of the highlights on this album include songs like Flaws, that has a very anthemic, shouted verse that varies between each verse, with him shouting flaws in my head, flaws on my body, or flaws on my skin, flaws on my body, and then toward the back end of the song he just very aggressively and impassionedly shouts, "I'm not your fucking machine," or like songs like Santa Carla, which is much slower in tempo than the rest of the songs and features probably the most chilling chord progression on this entire album, and even some of the darkest lyrics that I believe, with him saying something about a kid going missing a week ago. Another one of my favorites would have to be Get Hurt, Waste of Space, with it having a very upbeat drum solo right at the beginning of the song. Although my favorite drum solo has to be right at the end of the song, Whitewash. Although it is very short, this drum solo helps segue into the next song very nicely, titled Depression. Some of the flaws in this album, however, lie in its shorter songs, like with Lay Around, which is just under the minute mark at 50 seconds, and the song Violent Crime, which is at the 27-second mark. Not that there's anything inherently wrong with these songs or the length of these songs. After all, I am a big fan of Vexed, and their songs are very short-lived, but very aggressive, and the intensity of the aggression kind of captures my attention. Whereas these songs, they just don't feel as fleshed out and as cohesive as their longer counterparts. And although it captures the aggression very well of this band, it just, on my first few listens, they didn't catch my attention. They kind of blurred by me, and even now they're kind of not sticking with me. However, the last track, Bottoms Out, is probably the most experimental in terms of length, being just over 5 minutes, and I feel like it pays off very well. It doesn't overstay its welcome, and it kind of carries its intensity throughout the entire song with its varied guitar phrases and these grooves that kind of act as a breather between the more intense moments of this song. Some of my favorite songs on this album have to be Rural Savages, 122 Hours of Fear, Bottoms Out, Santa Carla. These songs feature probably the greatest aspects of this band, and I can't wait to hear what they do with their next release. Alright, this has been FusionPit Presents. I'm Alec. You guys are awesome. Make sure you give Criminal Waves a look up. I will be putting their music and their Facebook page in the description box. You guys are awesome. Stay metal.